Muhammad Umar Farooq biological video. Please make sure to subscribe, like and share. Ask the question for answer and comment about the artwork. You can also answer question to each other for solving the problem. So today here we will discuss about the thyroid gland physiology and anatomy. So the thyroid gland is the part which that is the endocrine gland which produce a different hormone we will discuss in this video. So first of all we should understand about the anatomical aspect of the thyroid gland. So where is the thyroid gland is present? So here is a person which that is contain a trachea. Trachea is the windpipe which that is used for the respiration, the physical respiration, breathing. So this trachea is contain a thyroid gland, and the below of the thyroid gland is the parathyroid gland. But here we will just understand about the thyroid gland. So this thyroid gland is present is here, which that is we can zoom it out for understanding here, which that is the carotid artery and carotid vein, which that is used to give the supply of the blood, supply of oxygenated blood, and deoxygenated blood is back into the heart. So that is a carotid artery is used for it. So this is the basically structure of the hyoid bone, which that upper part and the thyroid cartilage are present. That is the basically thyroid cartilage. So here is the heart, which that is inferior vena cava, superior vena cava, as well as descending aorta and aortic arch, and left and right ventricle and left and right atrium and ventricle are present. So here is the cartilage is contain a windpipe, it is known as, and here is the basically thyroid gland is situated is here, and this thyroid gland is basically that is thyroid gland. Here is the thyroid cartilage, and here is the pyramidal lobe. So there's a pyramidal lobe is look like this, which that is the smaller lobe, while the thyroid gland is the left lobe and right lobe are present. So this is the butterfly like structure of the thyroid gland. So thyroid gland is used for the metabolic activity. So we will discuss also. So here is the isthmus of thyroid gland. So this is the isthmus of thyroid gland, which that is the center of the thyroid gland situated here. So the here is the orange color shows that's a left vagus nerve and right vagus nerve, which that is vagus nerve is arise from the neck region, and that is here is the blood supply to the thyroid gland, and that absorb the hormone by a vein and go into the heart and stimulate every with the targeting tissue. So here I want to say that the thyroid gland is the metabolic activity performance, and that is without thyroid gland is unable to active and produce the metabolic component or ATP production, etc., which that is different and hard to maintain our body as a homeostasis. So here is the apex and descending aorta of the heart, which that is we are just understanding that is the heart, and that is the coronary artery, descending coronary artery, left and right coronary artery, and coronary artery, circumflex coronary artery. So here I am drawing again the thyroid gland, which that is understand as well. Here is the isthmus part of the thyroid gland, and right lobe and left lobe. So this is the surrounded by the cartilage, the front, which that is the delicate mass of tissue are present is known as the thyroid gland. So this is the glandular structure is looking like this, and this contain these cells. So it is known as follicular cell, and that's colloid, which that is the inside of the follicular cell, that is the made up of follicles. So this is the collectively is called follicle, and here is the parafascicular cell is also known as the C cell, which that is showing in the green color in this figure, in this diagram. So that here is the colloid, which that the lumen like structure are here, and that is contain secretion of the cell, which that secrete here. So important is that here is the red color shows that the artery, capillary basically. So this basically that is contain red blood cell, and that's here we will discuss about the whole mechanism about that is the blood vessel and their cells. So the cell is surrounded by the artery, and this artery give the stimulation, and how it stimulate the thyroid gland. So here we will discuss also. So the brain is important, which contain a pituitary gland. Pituitary gland is the master gland of the endocrine hormone production. So here is the structure, which that here is the nucleus and contain basically follicular cell. So this follicular cell of thyroid is known as the thyroid follicular cell, and here is the blood vessel which that is surrounded, and that is the interstitial space are present which contain an interstitial fluid, and that's blood vessel. So these blood vessel will stimulate by the here is the brain which contain a pituitary gland is here which contain a three lobe, middle adenohypophysis and neurohypophysis. So the adenohypophysis is give the by the thalamus, hypothalamus will give the positive feedback mechanism, which that is thyroid releasing thyrotropin releasing hormone, which release and as a neurosecretory cell to stimulate the adenohypophysis anterior pituitary gland to produce thyroid stimulating hormone, and this thyroid stimulating hormone will travel into the blood vessel and increase of the TSH, which that is allowed to move iodine inside of the follicular cell. So this iodine is the by the stimulation of these, because because I3 and I4 triiodine and thyroxine and triiodothyronine, which that is produced by it from iodine. So here is also binding this hormone with the and to stimulate by the second messenger to transcription and produce messenger RNA, and that translation to produce thyroglobulin, which that is also the signaling molecule of the TSH, which bind to exocytosis of the thyroglobulin, which that is the production just by the activation of gene are present just only in the thyroid gland. So also allow to iodine move inside due to the sodium ion move inside. So the one sodium ion move inside to increase the one iodine inside of the follicular cell, and that here is the pendrin is the channel which that allow to move into the colloid, and this colloid is basically iodine will be attached with the hydrogen peroxide attached, and thyroid basically here is the hormone is known as the thyroid peroxidase enzyme. So this thyroid peroxidase enzyme convert into the activated iodine species. So this activated iodine species contain a negative charge, and this is a free. So here is the exocytosis of the thyroglobulin, which contain a tyrosine molecule of amino acid. So that is the amino acid tyrosine, which contain a hydroxyl group. So here is the thyroglobulin, which that is excreted from the follicular cell of the thyroid. So that is why here is the basically TPO, which that is used for the convert of water from the hydrogen peroxide is known as the thyroid peroxidase. So this collection is here, which that is the iodination. It means the thyroglobulin which that is attached with the enzymatically activity to the iodine with this thyroglobulin. So here is the iodine will be attached. Each molecule of tyrosine contain a 2 iodine. So it means the total is 8. So this 8 molecule is again that is the TPO, thyroid peroxidase is used for it to phenolic, that is the phenol and phenolic coupling will be occur, and that's mean coupling mean the two phenols will attach to each other. So these two phenol by the oxygen bond, so like a water structure, which that is the here is the T4 because is the phenolic coupling, phenol coupling or phenolic coupling is here is the iodine contain T4, so that is known as the triiodothyronine. On the other hand, with attached with the thyroglobulin with the oxygen by the TPO, and that is the T4 contain a 4 iodine molecule, 4 iodine atom. So that means this is the combined. So remember, this is the combined and the precursor of T3 and T4. So T4 and T3, we will discuss also the function of T3 and T4. So that is will go again as a endocytosis. So that is the endocytosis into the cell of the follicular cell, and that is mean the thyroglobulin conversion, and this is the changing of the molecule, changing of the molecule to convert this molecule. So this molecule will enter into the follicular cell and more modification will be occur. How it is splitting? So the lysosomal proteolysis will be occur. That is the lysozyme enzyme is used for it. So the T4 is precursor of T4 is here. So that is the precursor of T4, and here is the T3. So thyroxine and triiodothyronine will be formed in the follicular cell. Remember, it is formed inside, but the modification will occur into the colloid, which that is the lumen-like structure inside of the surrounded cell. So here is the channel. This channel is known as the MCT8 transporter. So this MCT8 transporter is due to the working by the binding of the primary messenger is known as the TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, which that is bind, and here is the binding of the thyroid stimulating hormone to stimulate the take out into the blood. So the blood will absorb taking out from the follicular cell into the blood vessel, and the T4 and T3 will be entered into the blood vessel. Okay, now we will discuss about here is the positive feedback mechanism will allow to move more sodium and sodium iodine importer to allow more iodine to produce more hormone T3 and T4. Anyhow, here is the T3 which that is will bind with for the function. What is the here is the cell which contain a nucleus. So this is the cell contain a plasma membrane of phospholipid of bilayer membrane. So here is the cell which contain a plasma membrane, and that is the bilayer of phospholipid which contain a receptor, which that is many more receptor. So here is the T3 is the primary ligand. It is known as the primary signal. So this primary signal will activate that secondary signal. How? We will discuss it in this diagram. So here the beta subunit and alpha and gamma subunit are present, is known as the G protein, which that is G protein is contain a 3 monomer, is known as a trimeric protein. So this binding is here, which that is the basically nuclear hormone receptor. So the family is here, the nuclear hormone receptor is a different family can be occur. So here is the first messenger is the T3 for example, and this T3 will be bind with the channel is here G protein, and the G protein contain a 3 monomer, which that is the trimeric G protein. So this G protein contain guanosine diphosphate also with attached with the alpha subunit. So this alpha subunit is here is the green color shows that the adenylate cyclase enzyme. So here is a GTP used to produce GTP into with the attached with the alpha subunit to detachment from this. So this is the GTP produced, and that's converted into the GDP, and that's give the phosphate group to the alpha subunit, and that's bind with the adenylate cyclase enzyme. So this binding to activate the second messenger. After the complete this message, that's backward into the again 3 subunit will be again reverse, it can be. So here is GTP is produced by the air, and that's GTP is here, and ATP used to convert cyclic AMP, and 2 phosphate group will be released. So these 2 phosphate group will be released, and that's the second messenger is known as the cyclic AMP, because adenosine monophosphate 1 phosphate is attached with the cyclic manner. So here is the protein kinase inactive will be converted into the protein kinase activated by the cyclic AMP, and the phosphorylase, it means the phosphate group will be added in it by this activity. For example, the activated protein kinase activate will be attached, and that's a phosphorylase by this, and this phosphorylated protein is here, and that means it is the secondary signal, which that is basically here is the nucleus. It can be a pass into the nuclear pore, and that's go into the inside, and here is the DNA, which contain an active gene is known as the structural gene, basically, which that's produce the hormone. How? Because here is the phosphorylase protein, which that is the transcription factor are present, and basically we will not understand the, we will not go into the detail. So here the RNA polymerase enzyme also present, and transcription factor are present, and that's produce the messenger RNA. So this messenger RNA is the important character, which that is the basically the specific cell. For example, this is the specific cell, for example muscle containing myocyte, which contain myosin and actin protein. So it means the produce a protein, while on the other hand also produce the stimulation of something, for example development and growth, etc., which that is used for it, for example muscle protein and bone density, which that is due to the. So here is the basically we are also understanding the lipolysis is due to the thyroid gland. So the thyroid hormone is attached with the adipocyte is here, and triglyceride will be converted by the using of lipase to free non-esterified free fatty acid. So these free fatty acid can be entered into the high density lipoprotein, which that is the LDL. So in this process, LDL will absorb the fatty acid, and that is HDL converted into the LDL, and that is a mechanism which that is allowed to transport to another tissue for normal development and growth. So that means the loss of fat is due to the basically thyroid gland, which that is the important for it. So it is metabolic effect which that transport the fatty acid to another tissue, use as a energy to produce heat and use as a mechanical energy, etc., which that is used at the developmental phase. For example, the fat which that is used by the activation of this gland and to produce development and growth, for example. So here is the thyroid gland, which that is also important hormone production. From it is the calcitonin. Calcitonin is the important to produce the calcium from the bone to outtake. So that is the low level in the blood calcium to stimulate and produce the high level of calcium. So that is the negative feedback will be inhibit the thyroid gland to produce more calcitonin, right? So here we will also discuss that is the basically here's the negative feedback mechanism, and low level produce the positive feedback mechanism. So next here we will discuss about the parafascicular cell are present in beside the follicular cell of the thyroid gland, which that here is the parafascicular cell is also known as C cell. So this C cell is produce the preprolactin pre preprocalcitonin. So this preprocalcitonin is used by the using of the enzyme to cutting to produce the procalcitonin, and further enzymatic activity to produce the mature calcitonin. So these mature calcitonins contain a 32 amino acid containing compound, and that's used for the high level, and that is the outtaking of the calcium and phosphate regulation. Basically, it means the high number of calcium will be occur if the high calcium level, so the negative feedback mechanism to inhibit the calcitonin production, while when the low level of calcium, which that's outtake, just like a parathermone hormone, which that is used for the deposition. So the parathermone hormone is used for it. When inhibition of this hormone, the parathermone hormone, parathyroid gland will be produced to deposit the calcium. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe the channel and make sure to share this video to another and give me support. So bye.